Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Thursday morning. Got a big show lined up for you today. The Utah Mammoth have a big game tonight. They're playing Nashville, a team that's chasing them in that race for the first wild card spot and the right to play the division champ in the Pacific Division. We're going to talk later this morning with a guy who is tracking that fairly closely, and we will check in with Cole Bagley at 9:30 this morning. It's interesting that the Mammoth were off last night. Edmonton, who lost here 6-5 in overtime, they were in action. They were going back-to-back, and they are trying to win the division, get that top spot. They beat San Jose 5-2. Connor McDavid with a hat trick. He is on fire. It's like he had a good night in Utah, and then he just turns around the next night. I mean, this guy is locked in playoff mode. Don't wait to turn on the playoffs. Be peaking before the playoffs. Well, yeah, he's doing that. That was pretty impressive by him. He got the first one on the power play, and the other two were in the second period, and they came at full strength. The two goals that he did not score in that game in the 5-2 win, he assisted on. So he's got 86 assists and 47 goals. I mean, my gosh. So thinking, yeah, you want to win. You want to be wild card one because if you're wild card two, you play Colorado, who's the best defensive team in the league, and they've got the best record in the league. But, you know, I don't really playing Edmonton to be a walk in the park. But anyway, we'll see how that plays out, and we will talk with Cole Bagley coming up later tonight. Brian Taylor will join us at 8:05. We got Bob Casper coming up in our next segment. He and Brian, of course, do Real Golf Radio Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 here on the Zone, and they're both at Augusta. We'll talk with you'll hear from Bob Casper coming up in this hour, and then we'll talk with Brian Taylor in the 8 o'clock hour. The big story of the day is basketball. It's college basketball. It's the portal. We were telling you yesterday, Rob Wright went in the portal, and now Diamonde's gone into the portal. But also Colin Chandler, Kentucky's gone into the portal. So the Farmington High product, is he coming back to BYU? All the Kentucky websites seem to think so. Some of them with some pretty fantastical numbers. I'm not sure I buy them. I don't even really like talking about them. You know, there's really no way to verify them. Everybody who can tell you something, you know, has an interest, right? So you never really know. Certainly Kentucky, and that's where the numbers seem to be coming from, are saying, well, he's leaving, but he's getting this number from BYU, and it's a really big number, and honestly, I don't know if he's that good. But it could just be a case of Kentucky inflating the number. So it's like, well, of course we're not keeping him at that. You know, they don't want anyone to give him any grief. So I don't know. It's not worth getting into all of that. I think the bigger point, I just touched on it here a second ago, is I think the Jazz, the Cougars, and the Utes all have the same problem to differing degrees. And I think it's pretty clear when you look around sports. The cliche is defense wins championships. And certainly there are exceptions. And certainly as we see rule changes, we'll see an ebb and a flow. But right now, defense wins championships, man. I don't know what to tell you. Which NFL team gave up the fewest points in the past season? Well, that's pretty easy. It was the Seattle Seahawks. They gave up the fewest points, and they won the Super Bowl. That defense was stingy. And a lot's made of who the quarterback is, you know, and I get it. It matters. But, my gosh, you know, it's like Seattle had a lockdown defense. Lockdown. 292 points. Only two teams held teams under 300. They were number one. Seattle. Indiana was number 2 in college football. They only gave up 11 points a game. Hoosiers went undefeated, won it all. The team that was number 1, Ohio State, who was undefeated until the Big Ten title game when they ran into Indiana, obviously. College basketball, Michigan and Arizona just met in the semifinals. They were number 1 and number 2 in defensive rating in college basketball. Michigan's number 1. They win the game. They win the championship. And everybody who was top 10, top 15, they all ended up being 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds. I mean, it was ridiculous how well it works out. And you look at pro basketball right now. The top 4 teams in defensive rating are 1, 2 in the East and 1, 2 in the West. Yep, it's the Thunder and the Spurs, and it's the Pistons and the Celtics. So no matter where you look, college, pro, these teams with the best defense are dominating. I mean, they're just dominating. Now, what does it have to do with the Cougars and the Utes and the Jazz? And well, I mean, the Jazz are 29th out of 30 teams have been passing it back and forth with the Wizards, who are also terrible and who also are trying not to win. So presumably when they're trying to win, they'll be much better next year, but you got to be a lot better. You're at the bottom for a reason, and the defensive rating leads the parade. And the Utes didn't even crack the top 200. Defensive rating, I don't know what it was, 208, something like that. But they weren't in the top 200. And BYU didn't crack the top 50. They were 59. So you got to get better defensively. And we're going to sit here and say, hey, this guy can score and this guy can shoot the 3. And the coach is talking about shooters, and certainly you do. And I don't want to undersell the importance of offense. I mean, Michigan and Arizona were 1 and 2, but they were either 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 offensively. They're top 10 there too. So you really have to be good at everything. And I think one thing that'll help, and this is why I personally am not that sad to see Rob Wright go. He's a 6-foot guard. He towers over nobody. Height, size is a massive advantage in basketball. As a 6-foot guy myself, I play basketball against 5'10 guys, and I play basketball against 6'3 and 6'6 guys. And actually 6'8", I think, would be the tallest guy that I ever routinely, competed against. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in high school or you're in pickup ball. You can get a taste for what they're going through. It's just hard, And people make fun of Rob Wright and, he doesn't finish layups and he misses layups. And, most of the time he's throwing up some acrobatic off-balance shot trying to get around a shot blocker who's 4, 5, 6, 10 inches taller than him. Are you surprised? So I think more positional size. Now, the Jazz are building that next year, clearly. They went out and got Jaren Jackson. They already got Market and Kessler. They're always going to have, well, I shouldn't say that. They are probably going to have 2 of those 3 players on the floor at the same time. Now, maybe they'll do something different. Maybe they'll sit 2 of them together, and we'll see more where all 3 guys are on the floor. But the point is they're going to have a chance to have positional size and be much bigger than their opponents, especially with Ace Bailey. Well, if he's playing one of the guard spots, it's going to be bigger than most of the opponents because the other 3 7-footers are going to be the 2 forwards in the center. I mean, they're going to be massive. Now, that's not enough by itself, but it's a very good start. Everybody needs the effort Houston has. I get so sick of watching Big 12 basketball and saying just one announcer after another, and sometimes opponents and coaches, you got credit Houston, they play really hard. Why don't you play really hard? I mean, why is someone playing harder than you? You can't, come on, man. You cannot just talk that away. The team that plays harder often wins. I mean, I don't want to break it to you, but, it's obvious, right? So is BYU going to get more positional size? And let's see who they bring in, how big a team they build, because Kebaketa was a little undersized. Now, DeBonsa was not. He gave them positional size. Saunders was kind of average for his position. Wright was either average or a little on the small side, depending on the matchup. They need more. They need rim protection. They need size. They need size on the wings. And I think it's something that you have seen, and I know it hasn't paid off. The Jazz have been tanking games for 4 years, but I think it's something you've seen the Jazz focused on acquiring. With their top 10 picks, they're not picking 6-foot guys. They're out there getting guys, 6'8", 6'9", wingspan. And it isn't, size is easy, but really wingspan, your athletic ability, how much you move both laterally and can you jump and can you hit the floor and go back up a second time and all that kind of stuff. All of that matters. The height is just kind of shorthand It's a good jumping off place for these discussions. So let's see what kind of team they build, and we'll talk with Mark Durant about that coming up later this morning. So we got a full schedule. All right, DJ and PK, we are going to take a break right now. Still ahead. We got Bob Casper talking Masters next, and then we'll have Tim LaComb talking Cougar basketball, and we will have Morgan Scalley talking Ute football. That's all ahead in this hour. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Bob Casper joined us Wednesday for our annual Masters draft. Got his thoughts on the tournament. So we're going to play that conversation for you right now. We'll have Brian Taylor live from the Masters coming up at 8 o'clock as the first round gets underway. But here's Bob Casper with PK and I.
This 2026 Masters Update live from Augusta is brought to you by Copper Rock, where the pros play on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Bob, good morning. How glorious is it at Augusta National right now?
You know, it's pretty nice right now. It's a little chilly compared to the last couple of days and the days going forward for tournament days. But it's going to be right around 68 to 70 degrees today, and then it's just going to get warmer on the weekends. It's going to be in the low 80s.
Yeah, they're saying no rain at all this week, right?
None. Yep, the forecast is glorious.
So how fast are the greens when the forecast is glorious?
They are fast, and they get faster. I don't know. They're probably going to be 12, 13s. And if you're going downhill, they're probably going to be about 16 to 18.
Well, my golf game's always going downhill, Bob, so I know exactly what you're talking about there. I got a question that I've been waiting for 3 months to ask you. Your father had left me hanging. So in January, I went down to the Palm Springs tournament, right? And, I go one day, and they had a concert there out on the driving range on the other end. And so we had a great, great time. And I usually play a couple days of golf. There's a golf course called Canyon Country. It was a private club for, like, the Rat Pack back in the day. And so I went, and they have a north and a south course. And right on the north course was the Hammer. Fred Williamson lived there, and I actually talked to him still lives there. He's 86 years old. I talked to him while I was playing. But they had this thing called the Sinatra Swing Fest, and I took a picture of it, and they had the leaderboard, and your father was only 2 off, but they had the leaders for 3 days. He shot a 67, 70, 73, and then I never found out what happened. Do you know what happened in that year? At the Sinatra Swing Fest?
I'm hanging again because I have no clue.
I figured you didn't. But they have Sinatra pictures all over the place. And apparently he hosted this Sinatra Swing Fest. I don't know that it was a real tour. But they had some big names on there. Guy Berger, Frank Beard. Your father was there. A guy named Mason Rudolph, not the quarterback who plays for Pittsburgh.
I know Mason Rudolph.
Oh, you know him personally? Yeah. So, did your father ever talk about playing there with Sinatra or at his tournament?
Well, he played with a lot of those guys. I can remember being there in Palm Springs and him playing with presidents.
Gerald Ford. Yeah.
I remember him playing with Jackie Gleason and Sammy Davis, and there were a lot of guys that he played with in that event because Bob Hope held the event, and all the guys from Hollywood and everything wanted to come over and play. And then Bing Crosby held the event up at the Crosby Clambake, and a lot of the guys wanted to go up there and play too. So there was a lot more celebrities playing in that event than there used back in the day. But now it's a lot of corporate people and that kind of thing that play in that event.
Cool memories.
Yep.
Yeah, which celebrities should I know growing up in San Diego, as you know, Andy Williams was there. There were celebrities all over the tour. Which celebrities would be a good fit now, Bob? We got to bring that back. Let's make that happen. Who
Kid
you got?
Rock?
The Rock.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Rock is involved with golf at all.
No,
So,
not the Rock. Kid Rock. Kid Rock plays golf. I want Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
I want to mix it up a little bit.
That would be an interesting sponsor. But yeah, but Sammy Davis and Glenn Campbell and Frank Sinatra, Andy Williams, not Sinatra, but Crosby and Bob Hope and Andy Williams. Those guys were all had lent their names to events on the PGA Tour, which was really cool.
So with that in mind, the characteristics of winning golf, what needs to happen if you look at, okay, you got to check off this, and this, and then how does that match up, this, and this, whatever that might be, those characteristics with the particular players in the field?
Well, here at Augusta or just in general?
For the Masters.
Okay, so, a U.S. Open is a crazy test of golf in that they want you to hit every club in your bag. Well, here at Augusta, the clubs that are primary are probably second shots into greens or approach shots into greens, and how good your short game is, putting and chipping. Putting is paramount here. And the driving areas at this golf course are quite ample. So if you have length, you're going to be able to get it down there a ways, but it depends on how you get the ball on the green, where you place that ball on the green with your second shot, and then again you're chipping and putting. Because if you miss a green or it bounces over a green or something like that, then you've got to be able to get it up and down, and hopefully you keep it in a place where you're able to do that. So I would say approach shots, chipping and putting, short game.
So I was listening to some pros roundtable kind of thing. It was driven by some sponsor, so I don't know what it was exactly. And I only saw clips of it on social media. But they were talking that, yes, the landing areas are ample, and you're not really in trouble with a slightly errant drive the way you would be somewhere else where you think, hey, I'm in the rough, right, or it's super narrow and all these trees, and you're going to hear that thwack that the network cameras are going to pick up.
Yep.
But what they did say was that if you're at the wrong position, it looks like it's okay. You can find your ball and everything looks fine, but it messes up your angle into the green. And there's greens that are protected by low-hanging trees and all that. So even though if you just casually glance at someone, it looks like, oh, he's okay. Your second shot, you're having to thread the needle in a way that you don't if you're a little more careful with where you put that first shot.
Growing up, my dad, he watched Ben Hogan one time play at San Diego Country Club, and Hogan was coming in for this little exhibition at the club, and he would hit drives on each of the holes, try to get the ball in the right center of the fairway, the center of the fairway, and the left center of the fairway, or left side of the fairway. And he would see how approach shots into the greens were accepted from these different positions. That's part of learning the golf course and part of getting yourself around a golf course to be able to score as best as you can. The same thing is critically true here at Augusta. When they put the pins in certain positions, first of all, you can't get to them if you're in the wrong position off the tee. Mm-hmm. Second of all, if you are in the right position in the middle of the fairway, a lot of guys aren't aiming directly at the flag. They're aiming away from the flag because of the undulation in the greens that allows that ball to work into the position where you need it to be. And anytime you're underneath the hole here, putting a little uphill, you can definitely be more aggressive and able to hit the putt a little bit firmer so that you can control the ball a little bit more on the greens. And then if you're putting downhill all day long, it's just you're leaving it up to chance and the texture of the green and the surfaces of the green to allow the ball to get close to going in the hole. So keeping the ball underneath the hole and also getting in the right position off the tee gets you a better line to the flags, the particular flags. Now, case in point, number 2. Okay, it's par 5, dogleg left, downhill. If the pin's over on the left-hand side and you don't feel you can get it back into that left corner with your second shot, then all the guys will play down the right-hand side, just short of the bunker up by the green, to be able to pitch it up the green and be able to control a little bit more. Now, if it gets way over to the left and you can't get it there, or way over to the right, in the right corner of the green, then guys will get it over to the left more. And then there's a big swale that you can run the ball and get it down close to the hole. So it's critical to be able to get it in the right position so you have the best opportunity to either get it up and down or score birdies or eagles or whatever.
All right, Bob, it is time for the Masters draft. We traditionally give you the first pick. What will you do with the first? Oh, first off, are there any crazy rules we need to know about? Is anybody inventing anything right now?
Exactly right.
You can only pick one guy once. So if you take Scheffler, you can't use him for the other three.
For the other three majors. Okay.
So you only pick one guy once totally, or only one guy once for the first pick?
No, totally.
Totally?
Yeah, totally.
So
Totally.
Okay, so if I pick Xander Schauffele, I can only have him for this one.
No, because you get Schauffele as the territorial assignment.
Oh, that's right.
Because of your San Diego connection. And BT told us you were going to take him, but you already got him. And we got to give DJ, he's got to get 4 picks because Tony isn't in the field.
Okay.
So you're free to
pick. All right. I'm going to take I'm going to take Cameron Young.
Bob, I swear to you, that was going to be my pick. I was listening to the Golf Channel this morning driving in, and they were pumping him up, and I'm thinking, that's my guy.
Cameron Young, just coming off the win at the Players.
That's funny.
But this golf course sets up for him because he's a long hitter, hits a high ball, and I think Cameron Young will have a great event this
That's
time.
exactly what they were talking about on the Golf Channel on the Sirius radio this morning.
Oh, that's funny. That's good.
I'll take Ludwig Oberg. He has had 2 good tournaments. He's finished 2nd. He's finished 7th. He's got a little more knowledge of the course now. He's been through it before. This is it. I'm gonna ride him like PK was on DJ forever and ever.
Okay.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going to keep picking Ludwig. Well, now I can only pick him once, but he doesn't do as well in the other majors. This is the one that he really seems to shine in.
He seems to shine in this one, huh? Okay. Oh man, I had Cameron Young in my heart, and now it's just been ripped. I was young at heart, and now it just got ripped from me.
I've plucked him out of your heart.
You did. Okay. I'll go with Fitzpatrick then.
Natty Fitz, huh?
I got him once, maybe he can come back.
Okay. All righty. You know what? This guy's finished 5th and 6th the last 2 times he's played here, so I'm saying Bryson.
Yeah.
Oh, doggone it, Bob!
But now he can't use him for the other 3. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
I know. But that was still my pick. All right. I am going to go. I don't know. I should do him. I got to save him for another tournament. So we're never going to get a shot at Schauffele. He's going to have him all year long.
He's had him for the last several years.
Yeah. Do you have John Rahm?
I got Rahm, and you had Tony, but now Tony's not in the field this one, so you get an opportunity to get a 4th pick.
Okay. Let's go. It feels like a reach this early. This is a bad idea. I shouldn't do that. I gotta.
Come on. I'm getting old here.
All right, I'll go Tommy Fleetwood. Fine.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Fleetwood.
I thought I could get him in the next round though, but I'm getting rushed here, so we'll go with Tommy Fleetwood.
I'll go with Matsuyama.
That was the other guy I was thinking of. Yeah. Okay. Good call.
Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna go with a first timer.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say Chris Gotterup.
That's good. He's hot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the first timer too. I'll let you know.
Okay, let's go with Siwoo Kim. Fine.
Siwoo Kim.
Is that Siwoo Kim fine or what? Who is it?
Funny man.
I'll take another first timer, Corey Connors.
Corey Connors. I like that.
And then
Bob, who'd you take in your third round, Bob?
He took Gotterup.
I took Chris Gotterup.
Gotterup, yes, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get another pick since Fino's not in the field.
Now I get one more stab here. I get one more.
Well, why don't you go Koepka since you're buff now that you've lost the weight and Koepka's buff?
I was going to save him for another tournament because I don't think he does well.
Yeah, but you don't have to. He's your territorial pick. You're two buff guys.
Oh, he's my territorial pick? Yeah. All right, Brooks Koepka is my territorial pick. We'll do that. All right.
And PK, you have Rom for territorial pick?
Yeah, I got Rom because he went to ASU.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, there's our picks. We'll send them to you guys, and we'll see how this works out.
Okay. I like it.
Bob, thanks for joining us. We will talk to you again later this week.
Okay, buddy.
There's Real Golf Radio's Bob Casper talking golf with PK and I, and we'll have Brian Taylor on at 8 o'clock this morning. When we come back, Tim LaComb talking Cougar football and Morgan Scalley talking Ute football. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back with Tim LaComb on the hoops and Morgan Scalley on the football next right here on The Zone.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Tim LaComb joined us yesterday as the news was breaking about Rob Wright transferring. Now Diamonde's also transferring, and now maybe Chandler's transferring in. Lots of guys going in the portal. It's chaos here for a couple of weeks. But Tim LaComb's big picture thoughts on the moves and where the Cougars should go and what type of players they should value. Here's Tim LaComb with PK and I.
Did you hear the news about Rob Wright?
I did hear the news about Rob Wright. It just came across. I crossed that this morning as I perused the news.
Yeah.
I am, shall I say, not surprised.
I'm just wondering. Go ahead. Yeah, finish your thought. No, you finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say quickly, I just, after watching everything at Baylor last year, and that's the one thing everybody here was celebrating the kid breaking a contract, being dishonest with the school there.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to stick that away and go, well, is it going to happen here? And I don't know for sure, is this posturing, for more money? We don't know the full extent, but I will say that if it's true, I think it actually could be a good thing for BYU.
Rather than hit up on the individual thing, let's go big picture about BYU recruiting. For decades, they get BYU guys, and we know the LDS guy who wants to go to BYU. We understand that completely, but I don't think that it needs to be an LDS guy. We're bringing up like Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams, to me, seems like a BYU guy, right? He's around the football program. He bought a house in the area. He made a lot of money playing professionally, right? So you got all that stuff going on there. With that in mind, just the recruiting strategy, they tell you, the church leadership, says BYU is different. And we understand to a degree, certainly it is different, right? Lee Camard and Delaney Gibb going on national shows talking about no practice on Sunday and it's a day to reset. And that's great. No problem there. I'm just wondering, is it best to go after these guys that have no connection to BYU, knowing that outside of the money and the playing time, what is there that BYU holds for them? Should they reevaluate it or just keep shooting for the stars?
No, I like the fact that they're going out and getting guys that can really play, and the fact that with the new shift in the landscape, I mean, BYU is technically in this new landscape a blue blood because every single really big name seems like BYU is somewhat attached to it. So I love the shoot for the stars mentality, but I think over time, I think you've got to develop some scrutiny in regard to motive, in regard to end game, in regard to, is this guy here just for a year to get as much money as he can and then go play the game somewhere else? And I think, one of the easier things always has been to determine somebody's athletic ability and skill level and that sort of thing. One of the harder, more difficult things is to read the heart and the mindset. And so, I think in Rob Wright's case, I think he checks all the boxes of a guy can really play. But I think they really missed on what his intentions and motives are. My understanding is he just went, everything was great. And then all of a sudden the money that he started to ask for got ridiculous. After kind of agreeing in terms, at some point along the way on where things were going to be. And so again, this was all out on display, what he did last year at Baylor. And so, yeah, generally, I think you got to continue to shoot for the stars, but I think specifically you got to get better at reading intention and motive, which is really, really difficult.
Deion Sanders, famously at Colorado, didn't want to go out and do a bunch of recruiting, sit in a bunch of living rooms, and it seemed like the model was changing, and he was ahead of the curve. I've heard other coaches say recruiting has really changed. But what you're talking about, don't you have to go old school? And do you have time for that in the transfer portal? Or is that something you can only do when guys are younger?
I think it's something you've got to kind of keep a chart on. But again, it's easy to fake who you are. I mean, look around the world today. People are who they are, and they go outside and become somebody else for about 8 hours at home. And so that is the more difficult thing.
Geez,
I think
thanks, Tim.
What's that?
Thanks, Tim.
Well, no, I mean, you see the news. You see the news. It's more often than not. So it's difficult to read heart. And that was so hard to put together championship teams. I mean, back in the day, we had, different types of options. But for us, one of the big differentiators was, did they win? Did they win a state title?
Yeah.
It's not hard to talk to a coach and find out, they look you in the eye when you talk to them. They dismiss you. Do they build their teammates up or tear them down? I mean, it's all stuff you can see, but sometimes the glamour of what they can do on the court supersedes, and you think, oh man, I can make them a better this or that. And that's really, it's easier to change a guy's ability to shoot free throws than it is how they treat people.
Yeah, I can tell you, my wife told my mother-in-law, don't worry, I can change him, and it turns out my mother-in-law was right.
Were you a bad free throw shooter?
No, it's just that.
You're talking about the person part. Okay.
No, I was not going to pass the ball. That's the thing.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Selfish. It's very selfish.
Mm-hmm. It was me, myself, and, that's what as long as I got mine, I didn't really care if you got yours. And it hasn't changed a whole lot for that matter. So.
Well, I've experienced a completely different PK. I know you like to put this hard edge exterior, but, those late-night check-ins have meant a lot, buddy.
Jeez. You're the second guy who's basically told me that in a week.
No, I appreciate you. I know you have a mantra, both of you guys, but two of the best dudes I've met since I got out of coaching, I really got to know.
So with that in mind, if he leaves, then you just go in the transfer portal because they've got to field a competitive team, right? Kevin Young came in, and I appreciated that opening press conference. DJ was sitting right to my left, and we were there. And you were there, too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, I remember. I actually ended up talking to your wife way more than I talked to you at that one.
She's way more interesting.
Yeah. It's the first time I had a real in-depth conversation with her. And, a lot of high rollers were there, and Danny was there, and blah, blah, blah. And Kevin is out there, I don't want to say saying bombastic things because he was setting the standard. And I remember Dave Rose at his opening press conference years ago. I was there, obviously. I was a beat writer at the time, saying, Final Four is the goal. And I got no problem with that being the goal. It should be the goal, of course. And with that in mind, if Wright does leave, then you're going to have to go back into the portal, probably. And then you end up doing as, Duke, the bluest of the blue bloods, basically. And you look at Michigan, this year, 5 transfers, right? And I'm concerned is once you put your toe in there, before you know it, you got your whole body in there, and you got to do it year after year. And is that right for BYU? If they win, yeah, sure, it is. I get it.
Yeah, it is. It's part of kind of the necessary evil, and you got to have boots on the ground for situations like this, and they do. I think Justin Young, Kevin Young's brother, who's on staff, is the personnel, basically the recruiting coordinator. I would say that he is as good at recognizing guys that can play and has been in the game a long time, just not in college, but in other facets. So I think that will be the next step now to replace Rob. And I think as they do that, I found it very difficult to watch Rob Wright play basketball. And I know he made shots and all that, but the air of, I'm going to do this and you're going to watch over and over and over again when, I even tweeted about it sometimes, play 38 minutes and have no assists.
Yeah. That happened.
Guard.
That literally happened.
Stuff. No, it happened. And then, sometimes you'd let it off the hook and you get 2 or 3. But it was not conducive to winning big. And I think, you look at the Jazz this year, they will, in a down year, but a culture piece that I think has been important. They're going to have more assists than any Jazz team in history. And Coach Hardy's thing, play hard and pass. And they've been at a disadvantage for a myriad of reasons. But the bottom line is the one area that is really important to winning is being able to trust each other. And I think assists are a part of that. And, BYU down the stretch, to me, it was a Rob Wright, and I got no issue with A.J. Devonce having the ball in his hands, but it was there was a reason other guys weren't making shots because they weren't getting any.
If they got to go in and replace Rob Wright, do you think they need to replace with a bigger player? One thing we're seeing with the Jazz is they build this roster, and we know that there are people who have influence at both places. Similar thinking, you want to be a bigger team, and the Jazz are lined up with 3 7-footers plus Ace Bailey, and if they're lucky enough to draft Devonce, they will be big at every position on the floor. It seems like. It'll just be a gigantic team, and if you've ever been in a basketball game playing against guys who are 3 to 6 inch toes taller than you, it gets pretty difficult pretty quickly. Is that a direction they ought to go?
Well, positional size kind of fits hand in hand with, positionless basketball. I think the ability to, like you talked about the Jazz, and in any game next year that they choose, most of the time they're going to be bigger and more skilled in that position. You look at a Jaren Jackson, Lowry Markkanen, Ace Bailey. Most nights they're going to have an advantage, and so inherently the Jazz can literally just play through those guys and beg the other team to bring a second defender, and you're off to the races. So that's one of the best ways to do that. And yeah, I think if you're going out to look, you certainly are looking for the best fit, but in today's game, positional size, if you could go find a guy like Wagler at Illinois, put a 6'6" point guard out there on the floor, you're definitely changing things. So BYU will be, they'll be on it, but at the end of the day, make no mistake, this was this was all 100% about money.
Yeah, I know it's easy to criticize, but if you're going to get more money and you have no connection to BYU outside of money and playing time, go.
Yeah, no, I'm with you in this day and age, but know what you got, right? Know your hand.
Well, if somebody's willing to pay it, then that's your hand. And BYU was willing to pay it last year.
I'm talking more on the BYU angle.
Right.
I think you got to play the game. And there's no, to me, I think this is actually a positive thing in the long run. It'll be painful in short term. But I think BYU has a better chance bringing a new team in next year and not have to basically defer to what Robs does out on the court.
Yeah, I think we got your thoughts on him and the way he played, and we appreciate you saying them.
Add more size, be a better defender, and be willing to pass the ball. There's some boxes that need to be checked.
Correct.
All right. Tim, we'll leave it right there for now. We appreciate it. We talk to you every week right here on The Zone, and have a good week. We'll talk to you again.
Are you guys on the moon?
Just me.
Did you go with Artemis, or because it sounds weird today, but
it's just me. There's technical gremlins I don't understand, but
okay. But you are on this planet, right?
I am.
You're not making a re-entry with Artemis. Okay, just making sure.
Well, he may be on the moon, but I'm on Uranus.
I always thought you were my Venus.
I'm your fire at your desire.
I knew you'd go there. Goodbye.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Tim. All right, there is Tim LaComb. Let's switch gears now from BYU basketball to Utah football. Utah football coach Morgan Scalley meeting with the media. Spring practice. What is he thinking? His first spring in charge as he makes the move from defensive coordinator to head coach. Here's Morgan with the media.
Situationally intelligent, how an offense is going to, or a defense is going to change based on the situation. Not quite good enough in the 2-minute situation right now. Really on both sides of the ball. Big plays over the top. Dropping the football. Not as efficient as we need to be. So we got to clean that stuff up. And now it's, you're not really installing much. It's cleaning things up. I love the progress that's being made, but we're not there yet. And good thing is we don't play for a little bit. So we're still cleaning that stuff up. Love the progress of, Creed's a guy I got to shout out because that's a guy that has made a ton of progress. He's leading by example outside of celebrating the wrong way on the touchdown. But anyway, really proud of that kid. But good practice overall.
How's the health of the team overall so far?
Yeah, good health. Like I said, our strength staff's done a heck of a job. I feel like we're practicing the right way. And so that's a product of your training, in my opinion. And the good thing is that I think the percentage of live reps that we've had in relationship to our team crossover is the highest it's ever been. So, you would think, okay, you're doing a whole lot more tackling. There should be more injuries, but no. In my opinion, you get injured when you're not doing things the right, training the right way, eating the right way, sleeping the right way. So it's credit to the team and our strength staff and nutrition staff, everyone involved in making sure guys are training the right way.
What's the separation look like with your first line and second line in terms of the offensive line?
I would say no separation. Right, everyone is competing. Everyone's competing, and everyone needs to know that they don't have a starting spot. It's no starting spots until the week before we play. People pay attention to depth charts. I've never thought a depth chart doesn't mean anything until the week of the game. That's when a depth chart means something. So until then, everyone just own your 20 square feet, keep improving, find out what your deficiencies are, and work your butt off to get better at them.
Can you speak to Nate Johnson and his kind of...
Oh, that's another guy. That's another guy that's fully bought into being a wide receiver that's making play after play. Was really inconsistent last year in terms of catching the ball, in terms of doing the things that I think he was asked to do in terms of finishing routes and being a hand catcher. All that stuff he has fully bought in. Bump has done a heck of a job with him, and to Nate's credit, what a great mindset he's coming to this offseason with, and he's seeing the benefits of it.
A couple weeks ago, you said you needed to see more from your corners. How have they developed over the last week and a half?
I'm actually pretty pleased. I look at, because we lost Smith, so you're looking at the nickel position, and Rock Caldwell and Nick Brown. That's a guy that's really stepped up. He's got to have a heck of a summer, though, because he's just a little bit too light. But speed-wise, really good. And Caldwell, smart, heady football player. His length is an issue, and he's gotten faster. So I really like the nickel position. Eli Reed on the outside, Scooby leading, Bobo Chenault. So we've definitely got the guys there, and Sharif's doing a great job coaching them up. So, yeah, I know I mentioned that early on, and the progress has been great.
Berth Kirkland is someone who, maybe could have gone and started elsewhere. What does it say about him that he came back to Utah?
That he loves it here, that he loves the culture, that he sees himself as being able to succeed here. He's a competitor, and for guys that love to compete and you look at this place, why would you want to leave? You've got a fan base that loves the players. You got fans that show up every single home game. We're a winning program, and he's sitting there in a sweet spot right now. So, absolutely love Bird and his attitude, and I think you all have seen the progress in the time that you've been out here, right? It's pretty awesome.
You guys have expanded your recruiting into the South a little bit, and when I asked Sharif a couple weeks ago just about some of the negative recruiting stereotypes that you guys have to battle, you've seen it as the defensive coordinator. I'm curious, as the head coach, how do you answer some of the questions just about the state of Utah and just what it is to recruits?
I let the visits speak for themselves. And I've recruited Houston my entire career, and I maybe can count on one hand the amount of times I've figured I've had to face negative stereotypes. I think that's more of a myth than anything. I think when people visit and you recruit them enough and you establish these relationships, they see what we're all about, and more importantly, they feel what we're all about. I tell recruits and their families, don't pay attention to what you see. Everyone's going to have great facilities. Everyone's going to have great support. Pay attention to how you feel, and that's culture.
All right, there is Morgan Scalley. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.